What's going on, Master Duel fans? James Polk here, and more matches for you guys to see at the time recording of this. And depending on what this hand is looking like, I'd say that's way past doable. Okay, first time ever against Tearlaments. Now, since the release of Power of the Elements, Tearalaments is literally one of the most game-changing archetypes ever existed. Tearalaments are a series of mostly darks, with the exception of Reinhardt being a water warrior, while the Tears are dark aqua. They all do something upon sending to the graveyard by a card effect to perform a fusion summon. And I believe Reinhardt isn't unlike the others, but let's see the way how tiers go. And especially the fact, since YCS Pasadena, the meta complexion of this entire game completely changed. That the Ishizu cards were also the reason of making Ishizu tier become tier 0. 26 out of 32 that are top cut repping Ishizu tier. That is 81%, and it made most players take breaks just because of the invasion of Ishizu tier being tier 0. So, the thing is, if you want to stop Ishizu tier at all costs, play cards that exploit the deck's weaknesses. Something like D-Fisher, Macrocosmos, D-Shifter, DD Crow to interact. Anything that deals with performing fusion summon by using themselves as material, you have to stop the Ishizu tiers at all costs. And then the mill cards of Agido and Keldo, no, not Keldo, Agido and Kelbeck, those are the mill cards, and you want to stop the millers with Ash. So that way you definitely do not want them to mill out so much cards unless it's like the mirror match. But otherwise, somewhere in the next video is where, whenever I have the time and patience to come up with a record session on how to stop Tearalaments on Master Duel, we can definitely work something out to it. And with that being said, the entirety of Tearalaments. Reinhardt, Water Warrior, normal or special, send one Tearlament monster from dead to graveyard, so Armageddon Knight of Tearlaments, and then send to the grave by a card effect, special this, but banish it whenever it leaves. And if you do, send one Tearlaments card, spell trap included, from hand to graveyard. So Reinhardt, unlike the other tiers, are the ones who performs a fusion summon. And on top of that, in TCG land, he is still alive and well to be at 3. But the thing is, Reinhardt wasn't the problem. It was Merly, Hafnis, and Sharon alongside the Ishizu cards, all of which is at 1. And for the Ishizu stuff, we'll get to that momentarily. So, Merly, Hafnis, Sharon all went to 1 in TCG land because apparently when the deck first came out with the Ishizu stuff, it was outright broke, and obviously everybody and their mother knew that it was going to be tier 0 for that matter. So what did Konami do? Chop off the entire archetype in terms of having the cards to be at 1 in TCG land. So, Sharon, Hafnis, Merly, all at one. It's obviously broke because of pairing up with the Ishizus and everything else. So, all of the Dark Aqua Tearlament monsters share the same thing, which is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect outside of the damage step, perform a fusion summon by placing fusion materials mentioned on it from hand, field, and or grave, including the card itself, to the bottom of the deck in any order. Merly here, normal or special, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave. Tearlament Hafnis, when your opponent activates a monster effect anywhere on the field, or when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, as a quick effect, special summon the Hafnis, then send the top 3 from deck to graveyard. Tearlaments Sharon, during your main phase, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard, then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And these Tearlament ladies are the ones who starts the entirety of their Tearlament strats. And if any of the Tearlament ladies hit the graveyard off from card effects, this is where the fusions can come in. Tearlaments kick Kalos. Tearlaments and an Aqua to make it, so obviously all of them Tearlament names, not to mention 3 of them in terms of main deck monsters, including another kid herself, and Kalos as an Aqua. So, kick Kalos. Obviously, the card's banned in TCG and OCG, so that tells you the card is absolutely busted. And on top of that, when both TCG and OCG had their ban lists involving Kick Kalos, I literally said this a long time ago that it's Kick Kalos should be banned, but not Instant Fusion, because if they outright did Instant Fusion ban, then that pretty much means every single level 5 or lower fusion monster in general, they're going to hard fusion summon from their respective archetypes. So they can't do Instant Fusion. Kick Kalos had to go. It was busted. And let's see why Kick Kalos was absolutely busted. If this card is special summoned, and it doesn't matter how it's special summoned, by the way, take 1 Tearlaments card, spell trap included, and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. So it's literally Amazon's Call of Tearlaments. And then you can target 1 monster you control, special 1 Tearlaments from your hand or graveyard, and if you do, send the targeted monster to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, send the top 5 from deck to graveyard. More milling, of course. And the fact that Kick Kalos is outright banned, King of the Swamp is a must in the deck, so that King of the Swamp substitute as Tearlaments Kick Kalos to make Tearlaments Kalos. Kick Kalos and a Tearlaments monster in order to make it. Other Aquas you control cannot be killed by battle. Each of the following effects of Kalos once per turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that special summons a monster as a quick effect, negate the activation, and if you do, kill it. Then, send 1 Tearlaments card, spell trap included, from hand or face up field to the graveyard. And then if this fusion summon card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, free special. Pretty good if you ask me. Tearalaments, Kaleido Heart, Rhino Heart, and 2 Aquas to make it. And yet, Kalos is actually a water Aqua, while Kaleido Heart is a Dark Fiend. So something like Dark Fusion to make Kid Kalos is super nice. Can't be used as fusion material, so much for Super Poly. If this card is special summoned, doesn't matter how it's special summoned, or if an Aqua monster is sent to your graveyard by a card effect while this card is on the field, target one card your opponent controls, shuffle it back into the deck. Pretty good. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, special this, and if you do, send one Tearlaments card from deck to graveyard. And then each effect will collide a heart once. Now, as for the Tearlament spells and traps. Tearlaments Grief. Special one Tearlaments or Visa Starfrost from deck to graveyard, deck or graveyard, then send one monster you control to the graveyard with the same type or attribute as that special summon monster. And then, obviously, the spells and traps, they all do something upon getting sent to the graveyard by a card effect. In this one for Grief, target one of the banished Tearlament traps added to the hand. One Grief effect per turn and only once that turn, so one effect or the other, can't do both. Tearlament Scream. It's graveyard effect upon being sent. Search for a Tearlament trap from deck to hand, of course. And then, if a monster or monsters more than one is normal or special, and you control a Tearlaments or Visa Starfrost outside of the damage step, send the top three from deck to graveyard. Also, for the rest of the turn, all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack. Tearlaments Heartbeat. Target one spell trap anywhere on the field, or you can target two if you control Starfrost, shuffle them back to the deck, then send one card from hand to graveyard. Upon being sent to the graveyard by a card effect, target one Tearlaments trap in your graveyard, add it back to your hand. Tearlaments Meta Noise. If you control Tearlaments or Visa Starfrost, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change it to face-down defense, so Book of Moon, then send one Tearlaments monster from deck to graveyard. So Book of Moon built-in Armageddon Knight, nuts. Upon sent to the graveyard by a card effect, target one Tearlaments monster in grave, added to the hand. One effect per turn and only once that turn, so one effect or the other, can't do both. Tearlaments Crime. Counter trap. Obviously, it has something to do with the negation, so let's see what's up with the negation. Spell trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a Tearlaments monster or Visa Starfrost. Negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle it back into the deck, then send one monster from hand to the graveyard. So built-in wiretap with a sent card to the grave. Upon getting sent to the grave by a card effect, target one of your banished Tearlament monsters, add it to your hand. One effect per turn and only once that turn, so one effect or the other, can't do both. And then Soliek, this one is each effect of Soliek once per turn. If you control a Tearlaments or Visa Starfrost, target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, then send one monster you control to the graveyard, so built-in effect Veiler, and then send one. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, search for a Tearlaments monster from deck to hand. And last but not least, Primeval Planet Perlarino. Upon activation, it is Fire Formation Tanky of Tearlaments or Visa Starfrost, and then fusion monsters in general, as well as Tearlament monsters you control, gain 500 attack and defense. If a Tearlaments monster you control or in your graveyard gets shuffled back into the main or extra deck outside of the damage step, target one card anywhere on the field, destroy it. And then the destruction effect is hard once, and the activation to grab a monster is hard once. Also, in OCG land, this card is at 1, aka the sole reason why Tearlaments is too good. Other than that, let's get right to it. Rhinoheart summon. Sending Merlee, and Rhinoheart go back. The band Kick Kalos, sending Rhinoheart. Kick Kalos. Send herself, bring back Rhinoheart. And as for milling 5, Dark Ruler, Foolish Goods, King of the Swamp, another Rhinoheart, and Primeval Planet Perlarino. And it is indeed at 1 in OCG land and Master Duel as well. And as for the Ishizu cards, you all know what's up about the Ishizu cards. Mudora in this instance, for that matter, it is indeed one of them. Obviously, both Mudora as well as Keldo are your putbacks, and then Agito and Kelbeck are your millers. Mudora, discarding her fairy, special summon this, then you can, optional, place 1 Gravekeeper's Trap from deck face up in your spell trap zone. And then Keldo here, discard 1 other Earth Fairy, special summon this from your hand, then add 1 Exchange of the Spirit or 1 card that mentions it from deck to hand. Kelbeck, if a card is sent from the hand or deck to your opponent's graveyard outside of the damage step, target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls, special summon it, and then put it back to the hand. And then Agito, if a card, more than 1, is sent from the hand or deck to the opponent's graveyard outside of the damage step, free special Agito, then special 1 level 4 Earth Fairy from graveyard that isn't Agito. Mudora, sending Keldo together. Exi Shoken into Babushka. Good old Babushka at its finest. Activates the Corolla. Awakening Forests. Ditch Changing Seasons. Foolish the Statue. Revive the Awakening Forest. And upon special summoning, Demise of the Land. Getting Fusion Recycling Plant. I remember this card in terms of one of the super old builds for my Amazoness way back then. Loved it, and then never even knew a different deck can abuse the mess out of it. So once per turn, discard 1 card, add 1 poly from deck or graveyard to your hand, and then once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as fusion material for a fusion summon this turn, add it to the hand. And then Demise of the Land, upon my special summon, or in most cases opponent's special summon, take 1 field spell from your deck and just straight up activate it. Flourishing Hills, ditch Vera, grab Misting Seedlings, revive Vera. Kelbeck is the last card, and Keldo, returning Field Spell, Kick Kalos, and Rhinoheart back to the deck. And thank you very much for returning my Vera to me. Misting Seedlings, ditch Vera, grab Flowering Fields, revive Vera, Flowering Fields, ditch Awakening Forests, grab the Earth Statue, special Flourishing Hills, normal Earth Statue, in defense due to Babushka. What the heck? Ah, Babushka is the realest reason doing that. Yeah, so funny story about this was that originally I thought I was going to have Vera revive the Flowering Fields just so that no Vernusylph card, statue included, can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, but turns out Babushka is the realest threat. Babushka, detach Rhino Heart. Nothing after, just to keep it alive. Thawing Mountains, discard itself via Corolla. Draw one. No special. There's the Agito. Normal Mudora. In defense. Link off to 2. Mudora and Flourishing Hills to Geonator. Swapping Babushka and Awakening Forest. Babushka to Drill Driver. Vera. Steal my Awakening back. Switch everyone to attack. And Awakening Forest. Have Drill Driver at 5,000. Pierce on Agito. Awakening on... no, not Awakening. Vera over Kelbeck. And then the rest deal some damage. And based on his board state, Vera can just literally outright revive Flowering Fields to make all of them anti-target, or Flourishing Hills to prevent Vernusylph's destruction. And thanks to Corolla, it makes Driver, Geonator, and Earth Statue, who are honorary members of the Vernusylphs, feel safe. And on top of that, because this is Tearalaments, they are water and dark. So basically, unless if they get rid of Earth Statue by battle or card effect, they're just stuck. Future Recycling Plant. Get Sharon. Get the Poly. And then the Ishizu tier scooped. So guys, that's gonna do it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you haven't already, hit that notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. And we'll catch you guys next time.